It sounds like your battle to sever immortality with Kuro is near a conclusion. You killed all those who interfered.
I did.
I see. You did well to kill without hesitation. Don't forget, Sekiro. Hesitate, and you lose. That is the way of war.
When he was young, Ishin fought desperately, spending his days in pursuit of life-or-death combat. And from each enemy he conquered, he took something of their style, polishing his arts in the blood of his enemies. Ichimonji, the recognition that posture is a samurai's most treasured trait. Ashina Cross, an art devoted to the swift, unindulgent kill. And perhaps most importantly, there was one mind, which requires the user to focus their entire soul on the release of their blade. Because, for all of his ruminations on swordplay, Ishin's blade always moved first. He stopped at nothing in his search for strength, and this single-minded focus ended with him taking back Ashina for his own. It attracted a ton of people to his cause, even prominent bandits like Gyobu Oniwa, who, when he was defeated by Ishin, actually accepted the offer to serve in his army. And when they crushed the Tamura clan and cemented the Ashina within the land, Ishin remembered those who fought by his side. He gave Gyobu the spear of the general he had defeated, and he also made him retainer to the young Lord Genichiro, Ishin's adopted grandson who would eventually lead the Ashina in the years to come.
Genichiro, forgive me.
Later in life, the elderly Ishin was more akin to a sharpened blade. His steadily honed techniques had culminated in the Ashina style, soundly eliminating all wasted or idle movement.
The ways of the Ashina blade. It's our school of fighting. But there are no hard and fast rules. You just win your battles. That alone is the most important rule of the Ashina style.
With a clan that reveres him, and many who follow in his footsteps, he is a master who took the spirit of his craft to its pinnacle, a true sword saint. Yet, all things come to an end, and with Ishin aging and ailing, the Interior Ministry finally saw their chance to move against the Ashina once more.
We managed to drive them back once, but the Interior Ministry's army is far too powerful. Look at this mountain of bodies. Ashina cannot be defended by normal means. Not anymore.
Genichiro Ashina now faces the overwhelming forces of the Interior Ministry, this faction that's poised to reunite all of Japan. It's an enormous responsibility, given the end of days that the Ashina now face, and it's this pressure that moves him to kidnap the divine heir and leave his shinobi dead in a ditch.
And that is why you wish to use the power of my blood. It doesn't matter how much power you obtain. You'll keep on fighting until you're a monster, incapable of feeling pain or fear. I do not wish to corrupt the lives of men.
Curiously, Genichiro is not grandson to Ishin by blood. Instead, he was adopted, born a peasant, and taken in by the Ashina after his mother's death.
Ashina, this land is everything to me. For her sake, I will shed humanity itself.
The way he refers to the land, it's almost as if it took on his mother's role after her death. As a result, he would turn to all manner of heretical arts in order to better fight on her behalf. It's likely for this reason that he learned the lightning of Tomoe.
What exactly is the lightning of Tomoe?
It's a technique belonging to Genichiro's mentor. I'll wager it was quite the sight.
His mentor?
Tomoe.
Tomoe was of the Okami, a warrior from a divine realm who descended to the lands of the Ashina.
There aren't many masters of the sword like her. To see her fight, it's like she's dancing. When you look into her eyes, you feel as if you're being drawn into the depths of the ocean. I was completely taken by her, and it almost killed me. I've lived a long life, but that was the closest I've come to death.
She was here to sever the immortality of another divine heir, like Kuro, And while she was here, she made this really notable visit to Senpo Temple in search of their red mortal blade. The red mortal blade, it is said, can bestow the gracious gift of tears, which is the first step in severing immortality. However, it seems she never found it, and perhaps resorted to a cruder black blade instead, a blade named Open Gate that can also bring the dead back to life. A blade that, maybe not so surprisingly, ended up in Genichiro's hands many years later. Genichiro once faced you without fear, even though you are undying, just hoping to wear down your resolve and win you to his side with sheer strength. However, when that fails, it's these mortal blades that Genichiro eventually feels he must resort to in order to kill you, and in order to extract the dragon's blood from Kuro.
The Crimson Mortal Blade. That means the one that he has must be black, then. To abandon oneself in search of strength. How tragic.
Meanwhile, Ishin is fighting a war of his own. Sickness is taking its toll, and the Interior Ministry have their ear pressed to his door, just listening for the first sign of weakness that could indicate the right time to strike. So, he disguises himself as the Tengu, freeing himself from his identity, leaving him able to hunt down the rats that are infiltrating his home.
Who are... Ministry rats. They find a way in through every crack and crevice. There's always more of them to kill.
But this approach cannot last long.
Lord Ishin, I'm concerned that the Tengu will make another appearance.
Emma,
Yes,
I imagine Genichiro will show up eventually. To put it to use. The other mortal blade.
to protect Ashina, he'll abandon everything about who he is, won't he?
Yes. I expect no less from my own grandchild.
When Ishin draws his sword, he focuses on his own soul, on the self. Yet when Genichiro draws his, he draws it for his country. His motivations are rooted in his childhood trauma of peasantry, losing his mother, and then being saved by what he sees as the country of Ashina. It's admirable to an extent, but his nationalism ends up being his fatal flaw, and it costs him everything. For a country is made up of its people, and the man at its head sacrifices his humanity to keep it alive. Ironically, if he had not, then you and Kuro may have fought on the Ashina's behalf instead of against it. By antagonizing you and Kuro, he brings death to Gyobu, defender of the castle gates and hundreds of Ashina's own soldiers. He neglects his duties by going all in on a search for immortality when it was his country that needed him most. In the end, Genichiro is forced to accept that Ashina is already dead, and the only thing that's possible now is to bring it back to life.
In the end, I was powerless, but grandfather was not. Ashina will rise once more. The dragon blood surging through her veins. With this, Ashina's long night comes to an end.
Pitiful grandchild. This was your last wish. To see Ashina returned from the great beyond. Which means Sekiro. I must destroy you.
One who returns from the great beyond does so at the peak of their prosperity. Ishin coveted strength and all manner of techniques throughout his mortal struggle.
Hesitation is defeat. I told you that, didn't I? Face me, Sekiro!
He wished for war until his final hour.
Do it! Finish this!
And that is precisely what he got.
Take my head! Well done, Sekiro.
Farewell.
Before I end this video, I want to show off the Sennheiser PC37X. It's this really good budget headset that's currently $30 off if you use the link in the description. And it's a product I was already recommending to friends even before Drop reached out to me. I used to use Drop.com way back when it was still called Massdrop, and I always liked their collaborations with big brands because they tend to clean up their designs and also offer a cheaper price on top of that. This clean, matte black headset is no exception. So first up, it has an open-backed design, which I personally prefer and use over closed-back headphones. Open-back headphones prevent heat buildup, they afford a more natural sort of sound, which is great for editing, and you can actually hear sounds that are around you while you're gaming or listening to music. Since I've been playing Demon's Souls all week, there were moments in-game, in Latria in particular, where having good surround sound just saved my life, being able to track enemies behind me. And also, if you want to adjust that volume, the headphones also come with a volume slider on the right ear cup, which is something you'll come to swear by once you've gotten used to it. One thing that does usually bother me with headsets is that they often skimp out on the microphone quality, because usually, if you think about it, it's your friends hearing the microphone, not the user, so manufacturers often let it slide. However, one of the best selling points of these headphones is that the mic quality is way better than its competitors at this price point, which, as you can hear now, has lots of body and a detail to it that is only enhanced by the inbuilt noise cancelling. The PC37X punches way above its weight for the price point, so check it out in the description below if you're in the market for this kind of thing. Thank you to Drop for sponsoring me and letting me try my hand at being a tech YouTuber. It was actually a lot of fun filming something completely different like this, so I appreciate the opportunity. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.